The first time I laid eyes on this bike, I was hooked. I didn't know anything about superbikes, but there was just something about this bike that made me want to learn. So here is the story of how I ended up with this bike and why I chose it over every other superbike. For as long as I can remember, I've always been into motorcycles. Ever since I could walk, I was walking around the garage while my dad was working on his bikes, getting grease on my clothes and watching him work on these amazing machines. One day he let me sit on his Harley-Davidson Sportster, and from that day forward, I was sold on motorcycles. There was just something about them that made me feel alive and free. I couldn't wait to get my hands on one. Unfortunately, it wasn't until I was well into adulthood that I finally got my first bike, a Honda Hebel Duzentas E50. This bike was perfect for me as a beginner, and I loved riding it around town. It was nimble and light, making it easy to maneuver through traffic, and it had enough power to keep me happy without being too overwhelming. However, as I gained more experience, I started to feel the need for more power. I wanted to feel the wind in my hair as I rode down the highway, and the Rebel just couldn't provide that. I knew it was time to step up to a bigger bike. I spent months researching different bikes before I finally settled on a Superbike. I knew that this was the type of bike I wanted, but I wasn't sure which one to get. I wanted something that would give me the most bang for my buck, and I wanted something that I could grow into. After watching countless YouTube videos and reading dozens of reviews, I narrowed my choices down to three: the Yamaha R1, the Suzuki GSX R1000, and the Kawasaki Ninja 100SX. All three of these bikes were powerful, agile, and had plenty of aftermarket support. But ultimately, it came down to one thing: the sound. When it comes to superbikes, the sound is everything. It's what makes them so appealing, and it's what sets them apart from other types of motorcycles. I wanted the bike that sounded the best, and after listening to all three, the winner was the Kawasaki Ninja 100SX. The first time I heard the turbo spool up on this bike, I was sold. I knew this was the bike for me. I saved up for months, working overtime and picking up extra shifts whenever I could, and finally had enough money to buy the bike of my dreams. I went to my local dealership, put down a deposit, and waited for my Ninja to arrive. When it finally did, I couldn't believe how lucky I was to own this machine. It looked amazing, sounded better, and felt like a rocket ship ready to launch into space. However, when it came time to take delivery, I was informed that due to supply chain issues, they did not have a key for the bike. They offered to order one and have it shipped from overseas, but that would take weeks. I couldn't wait that long. I needed to ride this bike now, so they offered to let me take it for a spin without any keys, basically letting me test ride this 200 horsepower motorcycle without any supervision. I was ecstatic. As I took the bike out on the open road, I felt a sense of freedom and excitement that I had never experienced before. The power was incredible, the handling was precise, and the brakes were responsive. It was like a dream come true. I knew right then and there that this bike was exactly what I had been looking for. It had everything I needed and more. After my test ride, I took the bike back to the dealership, signed the paperwork, and took delivery. I couldn't wait to get home and show off my new toy to my friends. As soon as they saw it, their jaws dropped in amazement. They had never seen a bike like this before, and they could unbelieve how lucky I was to own one. They all agreed that the sound was what really made this bike stand out. It was deep, throaty, and powerful, exactly what you expect from a superbike. Now that I had my dream bike, I wanted to make it my own. I started by adding some simple upgrades, like a new exhaust system and a tune. This gave the bike a more aggressive sound and improved performance. I also added some carbon fiber parts to give it a unique look. I was able to find a set of aftermarket fairings that matched the bike's color scheme perfectly. The bike now looked as good as it sounded. But I didn't stop there. I wanted to push the limits of what this bike was capable of. I upgraded the suspension and brakes and added a few horsepower. Now the bike was faster than ever before and handled like a dream. I could feel the power surging through the engine as I accelerated down the highway. The wind whipped past me and the bike leaned into the curves with ease. It was an exhilarating feeling that I couldn't get enough of. One day, I decided to take my bike to the track for the first time. I had never ridden on a racetrack before, but I was eager to try it out. As I sped around the track, I pushed myself and the bike to the limit. The experience was unlike anything I had ever tried before. The rush of adrenaline as I cornered and braked was unlike anything else, and the sound of the engine roaring as I accelerated out of the corners still echoes in my ears. After a few laps, I started to feel a sense of confidence and control. I was able to lean the bike further and brake later than I ever thought possible. I could feel the bike responding to my every move, and I was in control like never before. It was at that moment that I realized that I had found my calling. I was meant to ride motorcycles, specifically superbikes. This bike had opened up a whole new world for me, and I was just getting started. From the open road to the racetrack, this bike had taken me places I never thought possible. I had found my passion, and I couldn't imagine my life without it. So why did I choose this bike? Because it's more than just a motorcycle. It's a way of life, it's a passion, it's a feeling. When you hear the turbo spool up on this bike, your heart races and you can't help but smile. It's a sound that resonates deep within your soul and makes you feel alive. This bike isn't for everyone. It's for those who have the need for speed, for those who crave the wind in their hair and the sun on their face. It's for those who want to feel the raw power of a supercharged engine between their legs. If that's you, then this bike is perfect for you. It's been a wild ride so far, and I couldn't wait to see where the road takes me next. Who knows what adventures await me on this Superbike? But one thing I know for sure, it's gonna be an exciting journey. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed my story of how I ended up with this bike and why I chose it over every other Superbike. It truly is my dream bike, and I couldn't wait to see where my adventures take me next. Make sure to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more great content. And if you're wondering what my plans are for the bike, well, that's a story for another day. Until then, keep the throttle pinned and the rubber side down.